What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Life is Strange Double Exposure. We got a ton of info on this game from PAX yesterday. Lots of different people on Twitter kind of sharing different things, whether it's info, whether it's clips. We'll give them all shout-outs in this video and talk about what we saw. I think the entire thing, I think it's about an hour long. I think there's a video of it on YouTube, but this will be obviously more condensed and kind of just focusing on these smaller moments, okay? So let's jump into it. First thing I want to look at is from the one and only ... Rock. They say Max using her rewind power again after getting caught. And let's just play the clip.
Shit. Did it right, Just?
That's a good question.
Okay, let's try this again.
Okay, so I want to talk about this first, and we'll kind of pause after each of these, info drops to discuss it. So, firstly, again, thank you for finding that. This one, I kind of did this one first because this one kind of shook me to my core, right? This one is the most interesting to me, I think, above all others, because we were told she doesn't have this power. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see whether she uses this power on, like, a mission-to-mission basis, or is it all the time? And this is a tough one, because if she can only use this when she gets caught, I don't know if I'm going to be a big fan of it. Because we were told, and I actually was fine with it in the way they explained it. She turned her powers off, right? She hasn't used her powers in a long time. So when she does use it again now, they've evolved because her as a person, like, she has grown up, her powers have grown up, and they've kind of found a new way to almost break through. And when they do, they break through in a different way than what they did. I actually like that. I like that explanation. I feel like that's cool lore. I think that makes sense. I'm not a huge fan of losing the rewind power, but I like the way that they explained it, right? So, okay, I am fine with the idea that, hey, you have choices. You can't rewind. You can't, re-see these things. You have to just go for it. And we asked, if you remember, a couple videos ago when I talked about this, I brought this up. What are they going to do if she gets caught? I mean, commonly in games, it's just like a game over type screen, right? And you restart a checkpoint. If she gets caught, you have game over, restart last checkpoint, puts you back 2 minutes, and you do it again. But if you go back to Life is Strange 1, it's not a thing that, absolutely made the game, but it was a cool feature. Whenever she got caught, screen would pause. It would kind of be, all disorienting, right? And she'd be able to rewind and get herself out of situations. And you could use that quite often. You use it quite often, actually, in Episode 5 during the nightmare sequence, right? Really, really cool. So, okay, not going to be in there anymore. Well, I guess it is, because in this sequence, she gets caught and she uses it. It's in a different way. She's not, you can't see, the outline of her and, things moving around her. So, the artistic style of it is definitely different now, but she does it. So it's wow. But the thing is, specifically with lore, why can she use it when she gets caught, but why can't she use it at any other moment in the game? So I'm either going to need an explanation of that, or I am going to hold that against the game, because, I keep talking about it. These are the little things that I think you gotta be able to explain your way out of. Otherwise, you're just doing it to do it, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So that's just something I kind of wanted to throw in there. Okay, next up is a tweet from Willow Winefield, who I think does a phenomenal job. This was one account that was just absolutely crushing it yesterday. Joyce Price messages in Life is Strange Double Exposure. You click it. Now, this is in the kind of forum post, because this is crosstalk, right? This isn't the messages, so this isn't a direct thing to Max, but you see Joyce. It's been years since my Chloe passed, but every Christmas I still laugh when I remember her poking holes in her presents for a sneak peek, and then you also see her again, we wouldn't notice all her ravaged wrapping paper. And then from the account Violet, Victoria Price is in Double Exposure. Thank you, Lord. I completely agree. Again, this is also crosstalk. Photographing Montserrat Andino, I don't know if I'm saying that right, for Gaze magazine was a probably pleasure, something else, but Victoria, V Chase Photography. Now, let me just, again, we'll stop it right there just for a second. Love it. super cool to see Joyce. And there's something I want to say about Joyce in particular. You know, the Victorias of the world, the Warrens of the world, like these are characters that I'm going to want to see, whether they're messages, whether they're crosstalk posts. You know, those are things that I definitely want to see in the game. Now, the Joyce one, the thing is, well, we see it, and we've seen this quite a few times seemingly, is it's always when Chloe's dead, right? Like a lot of these, I think a lot of the things we're seeing is when Chloe is dead, or that outcome based off the beginning of the game. We'll get there later on in this video, but that's something that, you know, what will she say if Chloe is alive, right? That's the one where Chloe is dead. So this is why I think, just to end this kind of point, it's why I think reading these things are going to be really, really cool. And this is actually where most of the meat might come from when it comes to choosing one or the other. Because, like, if you chose to save Chloe, then all of these characters are let me actually amend my past statement. I wasn't even thinking. These are all dead characters. Everybody is dead, right? But if Chloe is dead, obviously this is what we get. So I guess if Chloe is alive, you're going to get a whole lot less messages. You're going to get a whole lot less posts on Crosstalk, because many of these, like David is still out there. Maybe like a Jefferson made it, although depending on the choice you make, he actually could be dead. So I wonder what they're going to do with that situation, but he'd be in jail. You know, everybody else, Nathan's already dead, Victoria's already dead, and then like the whole town of Arcadia Bay is gone. So yeah, that feature must be pretty empty, you know, if you choose the opposite one. Okay, then from Player One versus the World, another awesome Twitter account that I've actually shouted out in the past. That's all I'm allowed to say about Chloe. Life is Strange Double Exposure director Jonathan Stauder was asked about Chloe Price at the PAX West panel. He confirmed that Chloe's fate will be dependent on the choice players made at the end of the first Life is Strange. They're clearly hiding something, and this one kind of gets me a little bit more excited, right? Because if that's all you're allowed to say, my mind immediately goes to there's more. I guess you could be a little negative Nancy, which is fine. You know, honestly, this could very well end up happening, so you're not actually being negative. There could also be like nothing really there. And this is one of the biggest things I think so many Life is Strange fans are anticipating. I don't know if it's like a good or bad anticipation going into Double Exposure is, again, it sounds like they're hiding something, but are they? They're not allowed to talk about it. A lot of what we've seen has been the Chloe's dead choice, right? Well, like, is she going to be in this game? And I've said this before. What puts me apart maybe from other people, not that I have anything against them, is I think a lot of the Life is Strange community rocks. I'm not expecting, even if Chloe is in the game, I'm not expecting her a lot. If she's in the game for like 5-10 minutes, I think that's fine. I think that's actually the best you can hope for, to be honest with you. So I'm not sitting here wanting this to be, I mean, like it would be cool, but I'm not asking for this to be a Max and Chloe, you know, second part, you know, their entire story. I just want respect paid. I don't want, like, them breaking up seems weird to me, so, like, I don't know how I'd feel about that one. You know what I mean? Things like that is kind of where my focus is on, but I don't know. It could go either way. Like, she could legitimately be in the game. Maybe they brought Ashley Birch back or whatever, and she could be in the game for 5-10 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, right? Or she could, like, just be mentioned and not be in the game at all. And the reaction that you're going to get from Life is Strange fans is going to be totally the polar opposites, depending on which of those choices you make. Okay, another very interesting one, again from Willow Winefield. Chapter names from Life is Strange Double Exposure. This was really good. So you see in the actual picture itself, explore scene, restart scene, back. So same kind of thing that we got in really a lot of these games, right? That you can kind of create like an alternate save. You're just doing it for the collectibles, or if you're going to like overwrite the save. So that's cool. But yeah, on the left side, they actually give away all the titles of this game, and you can actually see from the second title, or the second chapter, there's like 4, you know, kind of sub-chapters. And so I actually looked up the definitions of all of these. We'll talk about that in a second, but Still Life, Penumbra, Spin, Diptych, and Decoherence. Now, Still Life, I imagine, has to do with Safi, so we're going to kind of skip that one. But when it comes to Penumbra, this one's interesting. A space of partial illumination, as in an eclipse, between the perfect shadow on all sides and the full light. And even at this Cambridge dictionary, a part of a shadow in which only some of the light is blocked. And then you got what diptych means. And this is diptych photography, by the way, a technique that combines 2 images into a single frame to create a story or convey a message. And even the Kate Backtrap definition, displaying contrasting photos, images side by side in a single or unified frame. And then decoherence is the process by which a system's behavior changes from something that can be explained by quantum mechanics to something that can be explained by classical mechanics. And so I think themes here is things are going to get weird. I think what's exciting to me, right? Second episode sounds like when you're going to start to see what the environmental and kind of world impact of Max's powers are. So probably has something to do with light, maybe like kind of eternal darkness type stuff. That would be freaking sick, right? If they kind of go where like I don't know, there's just no sunlight, so maybe like a massive cooling type thing. We'll see. But I imagine in the second episode, we start to figure out what Max's powers are doing to, the world in general. The fourth one is definitely like a multiverse kind of play on words, right? So like the idea of two different frames and kind of combining them to kind of tell like a single story. Well, you got a multiverse, two different timelines, one timeline two, combine them to kind of figure out the overall theme. So I would not be surprised if this game took a very similar pattern to Life is Strange 1, where in the fourth episode, you really figure a lot of things out, and it's almost the end of one story. I mean, if you remember from Life is Strange 1, the Rachel Amber arc and all of that stuff with the dark room, like that is figured out in episode 4. And, you got the Chloe death at the end that leads into 5. And 5 is kind of cleaning up the mess / dealing with the storm, right? Dealing with the actual ending and the, I guess, the overall threat of the game. In both ways, I guess, actually a theme there, because you take out Jefferson and you take out the storm. So I imagine because of the way the titles are, explained here, fourth episode is putting things together and probably figuring it out, right? And then episode 5 is when things start to get really weird, realities start to break down, all of this kind of, environmental stuff starts to happen, and the overall, again, like arc villain comes into play. I imagine it's going to be very similar to Life is Strange 1. Okay, and now towards the end here, I want to just read out a couple things that Player One versus the World, a couple different tweets from the panel itself. I mean, Max, at least at the start of the game, doesn't know either of them, Alex and Sean. So, but you will. I mean, we saw with Victoria, for example, we certainly get to see the connections from the first game that are present in Max's life at the start. Yeah, I'd recommend digging into all of the social media, all the text messages, like reading everything. Again, specifically talking about Alex and Sean. And then this one was about Life is Strange 2. I mean, Life is Strange is part of the same universe and is part of the same canon. So depending on the choice that you input in your early scenes with Safi, that takes into account Life is Strange 2. They talk about like an Avengers thing, no current plans. All the games do take place in a shared universe, in a shared continuity. But yeah, I don't think we have anything to announce in terms of our Endgame Infinity War pairing. We'll talk about all these, by the way, at the end. Hopefully, if this, for whatever reason, this is the last time you get to play, let's say, as Max, hopefully you feel some closure, some satisfaction at the end there. But then also very hopefully this is not the last one of these that we make. I mean, I hope it's not the last one. I have a mortgage to pay. And this was asking if this could be the final Life is Strange game and if it would be satisfying, if it would be a satisfying end to the series. And then final two. Life is Strange Double Exposure director Jonathan Stoddard has confirmed there will be no returning artists from previous Life is Strange titles on the new soundtrack. And then the final one, when you play the later chapters, you get a little bit more attached to her existing powers and understand maybe where the powers come from in the story. Okay, so there was a lot there. I want to kind of go through it. Let's kind of go through what I just said and work our way backwards. One thing just to make note of, actually the main thing I want to talk about with that last statement I read, I don't need to know where these powers came from, right? I think you got to leave it ambiguous enough. I feel like these guys have practice with this, and, they did it with True Colors. Before the storm was ambiguous with Rachel and her stuff. So, just to that one, I mean, you can give hints and whatnot, and you can connect maybe powers to like the world events, but I do not want to know why the powers activated in the, like, you can hint it, like it's kind of up to debate why she even had the powers in the first place. Was it because of Chloe? Was it because of destiny? Like, would she have done it? Would it have happened in any other circumstance? Like, all of these different ways of thinking about it. You don't need to know. You really don't. So I don't need to know where the powers came from. And then to the soundtrack, that one is probably the most disappointing heartwarming thing I've heard in a very long time. I just talked about the soundtrack and music, a few days ago. Sid Matters and just the overall composition of that soundtrack. I mean, I've been listening to it, in my car kind of on a repeat for the last 2 weeks. It's so freaking good. Obstacles is, I think, one of the best songs. It's actually, there's a couple amazing gems that are very much tied in with like moments in the game of Life is Strange. But Obstacles obviously is so synonymous, with it. And then just the overall themes of, the Max and Chloe theme, the main menu theme, and it's just so good. So I don't know. We talked about this where because this is a direct sequel, it should be, and because it's Max Caulfield, I would have hoped that at least some of the musical like threads, you know what I mean, that it would be threaded with the first game and that it would feel somewhat familiar but then also like evolved. Like, I don't know, think about any game that has multiple ones. Like, think about Uncharted, from Uncharted 1 to say Uncharted 3 when they did the trilogy. Like, it's still the same stuff, but it kind of builds and it kind of evolves over time. Kingdom Hearts. I think Kingdom Hearts is actually a really, really good one. It's got its classics. It's got some licensed stuff, but, it builds as time goes on, but it's still very familiar. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is still Kingdom Hearts in the way that Kingdom Hearts 1 is. So I hope that that's still the same thing with Life is Strange, where Double Exposure is still in line. And specifically because it's a direct sequel to Life is Strange 1, I was hoping, I don't know, like, have any of these people made music since 2015? I'm sure some of them have. So, like, could you use any of their newer stuff? I'm not saying to reuse songs or anything, but that one actually hurts. I got to be real. I don't actually understand the reasoning behind that one. The Endgame Infinity War thing, I'm fine with that. I mean, there's been talks, people speculation online. Would it be cool for all of them to like team up? I guess, but like, what are they teaming up against? Like, it's not really the way Life is Strange rolls, right? So like, would Alex and Max make good like a team, or would they make good friends? Yeah, like, I'd like to see that maybe, but I don't need like a super team where like you got freaking Sean and Daniel jumping in the mix with Max. I don't need that stuff, to be honest with you. Keep it separate, keep it like an anthology type situation, and I'm totally okay with it. And then the what scares me is that ending with Max one, because look, you do have to end it. You have to end it. So just like in Life is Strange 1, you tell a beginning, middle, end. And you can end it there or you could continue it. I expect the same thing here. There's a couple rules I have, right? I don't think you should kill her. You should not kill Max, because I do think you should be able to make more of them. And what I find kind of scary is the way that it was answered, right? So, like, part 1 was about Max, where it's like, if this is the last time you play as Max, hopefully you feel good, but also this isn't the last Life is Strange game we want to make. Well, are those two separate things? Would you like to make more Life is Strange games without Max, and this is the last Max game? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm, like, anal about this, but it's like, you make 2 games on a character. I mean, most things are trilogies, right? How many games stop at 2? There are some games that stop at 2. So some games legitimately do it. Infamous is one I can think of with Cole, right? But and many others, honestly. But honestly, I would like 3. So I'm not demanding you make a third Max game like next year or anything, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if they like permanently put an end to this, or if it's if you can continue it down the line. I hope they can continue it, though. And I think that's it. I think that's everything I wanted to go over. So quite a bit of info, and man, we got about a month and a half left. Obviously, episodes 1 and 2 come out before episodes 3 through 5. If you get the deluxe or collector's edition or whatever the heck it is, I will be doing that. I will be playing episodes 1 and 2 as soon as humanly possible. So we'll continue the coverage on the channel. If anything breaking happens, you can obviously come here. And again, thank you to all of these different creators, on Twitter, and they've done a phenomenal job. Truly, they've done way better than me. I'm just kind of crediting them and kind of reacting to what they broke down. So hats off to everybody, and keep up the good work. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.